Hello, everybody. Hey, y'all. Hey, and happy marvelous Monday. I'm so excited that you are joining me today. We are having a much needed conversation about a proposed or the potential government shutdown and what does that mean for landlords, tenants, as well as the entire rental community. Again, welcome. I'm Karissa Spann. I am your landlord and tenant expert. This is what I do each and every Monday. I'm live. I see that I'm live on Facebook. I'm live on Instagram, and I'm live on YouTube. If you have not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go over to YouTube. There you can find me at Landlord Lyfe. Each week, I'm sharing a different segment, a different topic. You can always watch the replays, and you can catch me live as well as know when I'm online and providing some updates. So go to YouTube, smash that subscribe button. So that's first and foremost. I do also want to share that information that I'm providing today is not legal advice. If you have questions, if you have comments, remarks, or if you have observations, please don't be a stranger. Show up in the comment section. Show me some love. Let me know that you can hear me okay. Let me know, where are you tuned in from? I love to know where my viewers are tuned in from. I recognize that I have landlords who are watching, property owners, as well as tenants. Let me know where you're tuning from. I am not providing information in one specific location. So as we're talking about a government shutdown, that is all throughout the United States. And so today's segment is primarily for landlords, investors, property owners who have tenants who are participating in some sort of housing program, whereas the government is providing a subsidy for you. Okay, so if you have questions, throw that comment in the comment section there. Hello, thank you so much for tuning in. I see that you're coming from Florida, but you're invested in Alabama. Thank you so much for that. So let me get into the discussion today. I am not going to hold you long, but I do want to share this pressing information. And so I had a call earlier, which turned into a meeting. And these individuals, they were concerned because they see that there is some sort of fight in Congress over a bill, over legislation, and how it could impact people on the receiving end and funds that they are expecting from the government. And so as it pertains to those of you who are landlords, your property owners, or maybe you are thinking about investing in some sort of housing program, here's what you should know. I'm going to provide tips for you as landlords, property owners, but then I'm also going to provide tips for tenants because I do have a large population of viewers who go back, they watch the replay, they comment on the YouTube channel, and I always respond. So stick around. I'm going to give you some tips. I'm going to give you some information, and I'm also going to provide you with my email address in the event that you have questions when I'm not live or on air. All right, so let me get into, I see some of your comments coming in. I'm going to respond to those questions in one moment. All right, but let me just also share that my mission today is just to provide information and to make sure that the information that I'm providing is clear. So if I'm moving a little fast, or if you have a question pertaining to anything that I'm sharing, drop it in the comment section. Slow me down because I want to make sure that everybody understand the information that I'm putting out today. I want you to pick up what I'm putting down because it's going to be so important. And maybe you don't need this information today. Put it in your backpack. Save it for upcoming days because although it may not impact you today, it may very well do so. So just take notes, hold on to it. And then you can always come back. You can watch the replay. You can email me any questions that you have. So again, the information that I share is not legal advice. However, it is the industry's best tips and practices. For those of you who are tuned in for the very first time, you've never seen me before, never heard of Karissa Spann. I've been in the housing industry for well over 2 decades. I've been in property management, real estate, teaching property management, amongst a bunch of other things in the housing industry. So I'm glad to get that in a way. All right, so I'm glad you're tuned in today. And if this information does not apply to you, please share it with someone who may benefit from hearing this information. or send them to the YouTube channel, let them watch the replay. All right, so we are having a lot of conversations now pertaining to this potential government shutdown and how does that impact landlords as well as tenants. And so I'm delighted to have this conversation and answer those questions today, because as I indicated before, and as I forestated, that it does impact landlords as well as tenants. And there's a lot of things about this that I believe is important for you to understand. All right, so let me get into it. Hello, Jonathan. Thank you so much for tuning in from the LinkedIn page. I do appreciate you, sir. All right, so I'm going to share. Let me share my screen because I want to pull up all this information so that you can see it. So give me 1 second as I do that, please. All right, so I'm going to start with landlords first on today because this information, this is going to impact a lot of you who are you're receiving some sort of housing subsidy from the government, right? So it may be the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program or any of those housing programs that gets federal funding, right? Because there are different programs, there are different pots of money. But if the government shuts down, what do? How does that impact your bottom line as a business owner, as a rental property owner, when you have tenants who are participating in these housing programs? So the first set of tips I'm going to share today, I'm going to talk about the impact that a government shutdown does have on landlords. So here's what I want you to know. As a landlord, if the government should happen to shut down, there could be a delay in the payments, which does impact your cash flow, right? You're likely going to have increased tenant communications. Tenants are going to reach out. They're going to be concerned. And there also may be some sort of uncertainty about the resolution, right? So if the government shuts down, how long is it going to happen? How long is it going to last? There are going to be a lot of questions, but here's what I want you to know as a landlord, what you can do to prepare. So the government shutdown is not happening today as of this broadcast, which is December the 16th. But in the very near future, there are threats that there will be or potentially a government shutdown. But here is what landlords can do. Just to make sure that you are prepared, you always want to make sure that you build some sort of financial cushion. So I would say start preparing yourselves now. Some of you are smaller business owners, or you have smaller properties. You don't have like a large portfolio. You want to make sure that you're aiming towards having at least 2 to 3 months of operating expenses in reserves in the event that you don't have the funding coming in from the government. All right. You also want to make sure that you are communicating proactively. Stay informed about government updates, any deadlines regarding funding. Now, that may not specifically apply to you, but if you understand the deadlines, you can reach out to the government office or that agency to find out, okay, where they are, if they have money in reserve to make sure that you're going to get paid. You want to also communicate with tenants to assure them that they're not going to be put out on the street, right? Because essentially, that's still your tenant. Even if, let's just say, worst case scenario, you're one of the individuals, you're one of the companies that may be impacted by a potential shutdown, right? You want to communicate with the tenants to let them know what's going on, what's happening. And please don't want to understand that even if the government should happen to shut down, you can't just force a tenant out. All right. You would still have to go through the process if you want the tenant out, as you would with any other scenario situation, which would be to take the tenant to court. And obviously you can't evict the tenant because the government shut down. It's not the tenant's fault. But you want to have those conversations with tenants because that there may be an increase of calls with uncertainty from tenants. Now, here is what some investors are starting to do based off of the conversation that I had today. They're looking to diversify their income streams, right? So to consider a mix of tenants that you have, right? So I know for some who are getting into real estate and property management, they're looking to explore some of the best ways to generate a stream of income. One of the things that I shared on the call is this. You can always consider investing in affordable housing communities, renting to those who are getting assistance from the government. But don't put all of your eggs in one basket, because if there is a shutdown, right, you still want to make sure that you have income coming in from all sources. And this may not be applicable for everybody, but also look at ways that you could generate other income. There were some individuals, some investors on the call, and they were looking for other opportunities to invest and to generate income. And one of the things that I encouraged them to do was to look into maybe parking. Whether you invest in the parking lot, you can charge for parking fees, storage units, because all of these are streams of income. So just something to think about in the near future. So if you're not there yet, kind of think long term. Okay, what do I want to do? What are ways that I can generate income off of the investments that I'm making? So these are just some other things to consider for those of you who are looking to get into property management as well as real estate. With the government shutdown, and if you have tenants who are participating in, let's say, the Housing Choice Voucher Program, and it doesn't matter where the housing authority is in the country. It could be in the East Coast, it could be in San Diego, it could be in Atlanta, it could be in Manhattan, New York. There are housing agencies throughout the United States. You want to contact your local housing authority office. Don't contact HUD, contact your local housing authority office to understand what is their contingency plan during a shutdown. And you want to clearly understand what their policy is, right? Because when you understand what the policy is, and typically housing agencies, they have reserves. So there's money set aside in the event that in unfortunate matters where the government does shut down, the housing agency still has money in reserves to pay the landlords. But when the government is shut down and we don't know how long it's going to be shut down, that's when you need to understand, okay, well, is it 3 months of reserves, right? You want to understand what the policy is. There is no harm in asking those questions. Some people feel like, okay, well, it's the housing authority, we're not going to be able to get that information. Listen, that is not true. They can give you that information. It all depends on who you talk to, and if you're showing up for meetings and you're asking those hard questions to get the answers that you're looking for. Some of you will be able to, and I know that when the pandemic hit, some owners and investors negotiated with their lenders. Speak with your mortgage lenders, utility companies about any payment deferment options, any accommodations in case your rental income is delayed. Okay, so we're thinking we're thinking in the future, right? So these are future plans, things to consider with a government shutdown. And then also explore any type of landlord support programs. For many of you who are on Facebook, you're on social media, as you're tuned in now, some of you are on Facebook, some of you are watching on LinkedIn, some of you are watching on my YouTube channel. Know and understand that there are landlord support groups and programs available in your local area. So you want to check for programs and financial institutions that are in your area that can provide support. Because, say, for instance, for those of you who have funding from a credit union, there are options available for you. So maybe try connecting with people now on social media. If you're not on Facebook, maybe look up by way of Google any landlord support groups in your local area that you can become connected with and affiliated with. Many are free, but some you must pay. You want to make sure that you stay connected and you have the support that you need. So I'm going to pause now. I did share quite a bit. Let me go to my comments section here. Hello, Kathy. Thank you so much for tuning in from DC. All right. Hello. What about the ones that is on Section 8? Great question. Thank you so much for that. So for you with your property in the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program, in the event of a government shutdown, you want to reach out to the Housing Authority to find out if they have reserves available. And let me just tell you that they do, but you just don't know how many months are available. And I also shared some tips, like make sure that you have within your rental business, I would definitely recommend not less than 2 to 3 months of reserves to cover any tenants that could be potentially impacted at a government shutdown. Great question. Thank you so much for that. I do have some tips I want to share for tenants, because again, I do have a large population of tenants who watch this. So if you're a landlord and if you have questions, please continue to share your comments. I'm going to come back to you, but these are tenant tips now. I have tenants who watch, I have tenants who are on my YouTube channel, and I have a large email list of tenants who always have questions. So as a tenant, if there is a government shutdown and you're participating in one of those housing programs that I shared, stay positive and please be patient. Your landlord cannot and does not control the government. Although there is going to be some questions that you may have, there's going to be some anxiety that some of you may potentially have. Communicate with your landlord. Your landlord won't have all the answers, but just stay positive, right? Keep in contact with the housing agency that you're with. Because again, your landlord does not control the outcome. Your landlord will likely not have the answers for shutdown and when things are going to come back to play. Here is something that I want a lot of tenants to know and understand. You want to review your lease, familiarize yourself with the terms of your rental lease agreement. And as I previously shared, landlords cannot put you out because the government has shut down, but you have to know what your rights are. And knowing this can sometimes minimize negative issues that will come up as a result of this. And here's your third tip for tenants. Reach out to your housing authority for questions. Yeah, you want to keep in contact with your landlord, stay positive, but reach out to the housing authority to see what information your housing program specialist or whoever is assigned to you at the housing agency can provide, because your landlords may not have any information at all, right? So if your landlord is not giving information, they cannot share information. But if you know your rights, if you know as well as your responsibilities, right? So even with the government shutdown, let me just say this as a tenant, even if the government shut down, if you were previously responsible for paying your rent, you're still responsible for paying your rent. Okay. So if the government shuts down, it's temporary, the landlord will get paid. It may not be the first of the month as it usually is, or whatever day your landlord gets paid. The government, when they reopen, will pay your landlord again. So you don't want to end up getting in a situation where you're not paying your rent and then your landlord is going to take you to court. However, your landlord cannot take you to court because the government shut down. Your landlord cannot hold you accountable for money that you are not responsible for paying. And so I wanted to come on and share this information because I know that a lot of people have questions based off of the meeting that I had just today. So the government shut down. It's not happening today. It's not happening tomorrow, but I want to prepare you for the future. And so you can always make changes now. Don't wait until something bad happens. Don't wait until you end up in a situation. to try to change your business practice or your business policy, start looking at it now, because we do not know what the future holds. We don't know what the future has in store, but I want to prepare you as best as possible to make changes and accommodations now to put you in the best seat. So I do hope that this information that I shared today was helpful. I know that there's a lot of uncertainty across the board, but here's one of the things that I strongly and I firmly believe. It does not do any of us any good to worry about, to stress over, to have anxiety, to get bent out of shape over situations we have no control over. Okay. So a government shutdown is something beyond our control for those of us who have tenants participating in a housing program. This is something that we've gone through before as pertains to a government shutdown. And I promise that it will likely not be the last. Okay. But you have tips to help guide you in this kind of process. So reach out. Let me share my email address for those of you who may have questions. I am live every Monday. I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm on YouTube, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this is where you can find me. So at the bottom of the screen, there's my email address. It's going to be info@landlordlife.com, info@landlordlife.com. And again, if you have not already subscribed to that YouTube channel, please find me there at Landlord Life. Every week, I'm sharing a different segment, a different topic to help landlords and tenants. Okay. All right. Let me go back to my comment section. Thank you, Double D, for tuning in. Absolutely. It is my pleasure. Listen, my time is up and I thank you for yours. It has been a fantastic pleasure. I shared a lot today. Please stay tuned. Please know that we are in this together. All right. I am, again, delighted that you've taken time out of your day, out of your schedule. If you tuned in late, please go back and watch the replay. Make sure you show up every Monday right here, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye for now.